Hi guys, it's Kate again. I apologize if you can hear the mower. It's summer. You know, what you gonna do? Um, Happy end of June, almost July. I thought I'd show you my July TBR. It's very small, but I do have some other reading plans for the month. But first I want to show you my favorite book from June. And I only had one because June was a very experimental reading month, just trying out books I own, trying out arcs, things like that. There were a couple that came close to being favorites, but not quite, except for this one. And this one is actually one of my May TBR books that rolled over. It's A Sky Full of Song by Susan Lynn Meyer. And I was planning to read this for Jewish American Heritage Month, but I only got partway through it and ended up finishing it in June. But it's about a Jewish Ukrainian girl that moves to the American prairie to escape persecution. And there she has to kind of choose whether or not to hold on to her Jewish identity or to completely assimilate into American culture. And it ended up being absolutely beautiful. I loved the portrayals of Jewish life, the celebration of Hanukkah, the tension between being safe and being true to yourself and your religion and your family. I also really appreciated that it acknowledged what happened to the indigenous population that were forcibly removed so that others could move to the prairie. I haven't read a prairie story that acknowledges that, and they actually related it to the persecution that the Jews faced in Ukraine themselves. So she had a lot of empathy for the indigenous peoples. So I thought that was very cool and very well handled for a middle grade book, not too heavy, but also very honest. So I will definitely be incorporating this into my future kids' education since I want them to get a clear picture of what was going on then. For my July, sorry, they have similar names. For my July TBR, I decided to only stick with my 2 summer reading picks. And that's because I've been struggling to get through my 4-book TBR. I only got through 1.5 of my July books, 1.5 of my June books. So for July, I thought I would just take it a little easier, especially because I'm having a challenge for myself where I don't buy any new books or check out any new books from the library. And so it's mainly to read my physical TBR. So I was like, well, since I'm going to be reading through books I own anyways, I don't really need to set a TBR. So these 2 are my summer reading picks for July. And the first one is The Summer Book by Tove Jansson. She's the author of the Moomin books, which people absolutely love, but she also wrote this adult book as well. And I found it at a thrift store and I was like, I want to give that a try, just kind of see what she's like. I've heard she's very iconic. And I'm excited to get a taste of her writing. I also recently got one of the Moomin books, so I'll probably read that eventually too. But I mean, it has summer in the title. How could I not read it this summer? So I'm very excited to give this one a try. I don't know much about it except for that it's got summer vibes and an island, but I'm excited to read it. And then my other one is about sometime in April, I start missing Christmas. I'm just like, I love Christmas. I wish it was Christmas. I checked out a gingerbread book from the library. I looked longingly at my Christmas mugs. I love Christmas. And lately in the past few years, Christmas has been better than it's ever been for me, mental health wise. And so I just love that time of year. So I do observe Christmas in July. And so I will be reading Meant to Be by Katie Cicely Cook, however you say it. And I've shown this one in a book haul, so you probably recognize it. but it's got like a scratch and sniff minty smell. And it's just a cute YA love story. I don't know much about it, but I mean, look at that candy cane heart. That is the cutest thing ever. So I'm really excited to give this a shot. It'll be just a nice, quick, light read, which I've been in a little bit of a reading slump, so this is definitely going to be necessary. And it'll give me those vibes I'm looking for, and I'll definitely have to use one of my Christmas mugs, and probably a blanket and a candle, and just live happily ever after. So, yeah. The rest of the month, I'll be reading from my physical TBR. And these are books I own, either I've owned for a while, or, you know, grabbed more recently. But I thought I'd show you some of my most anticipated reads. I'm not promising to read these. This is not a TBR. But, well, I really hope you can't hear that weed whacker. This is not a TBR, but these are books I'm just really excited about. So the first one is The Game is Afoot by Elise Bryant. And this is the sequel to It's Elementary. And it's about a mom who, she's just a regular suburban mom, and she solves a murder in the first book. And so in this one, it looks like something else happens, and she is like, I think that's a murder. So she ends up solving this one too. But I really like her story. She's a super cool character. Caught in kind of a love triangle too. Not an annoying one, but an interesting one that I think will be important to her growth as a person. So I've been really anticipating reading this one. So I'm excited to get to it. This one is actually my husband's copy, but we share our books, so I count it as an owned read. And that is C.S. Lewis's Space Trilogy. This chonky copy has Out of the Silent Planet, Paralandra, and That Hideous Strength all in one. I don't know if I'll just read them straight through. I might, read the first one and see how it hits me, and then wait a little bit, read another one. I think it would be really fun if I can mentally handle it to just read through them all. I know they're harder reading than some of his nonfiction, and definitely the Narnia series. He gets quite philosophical. But I really love sci-fi, and I love C.S. Lewis, so I will definitely be giving this a shot. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it'll be this July, but this is one of the books on my radar. And then there's Renegades by Marissa Meyer. This is the first in her superhero series, and it's like a villain and a superhero that are like in love but on opposite sides. And I've just loved everything I've read from Marissa Meyer. I've only read a little bit. I've read some of her graphic novels. Her latest release, that was like an escape game book, like reality TV. It was co-written with someone else. And I've also read her nonfiction book, The Happy Writer. But I have been, ever since she referenced the Renegades concept in The Happy Writer, I was like, oh, I need to read that. So I'm highly looking forward to this one, and if I enjoy it, I will move on to the rest of the trilogy. Speaking of another trilogy that I've heard great things about, this is The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. And I have heard that this is like really, really good fantasy, very clean. I don't know much about it, but I've just heard great things from people that it's like really, really amazing, and I can't wait to read it. And then if I enjoy it, I will definitely be moving on to the rest of the trilogy. This one is one, I bought it and I had no idea how thick it is. I was like, ooh, a cutie graphic novel. This is Marshmallow and Jordan by Alina Chow. And I guess, I don't know if it's fantasy or what, or if it's a real girl and an elephant, but it just looked so cute. And then the disability representation. So I'm like, oh, I must read this. And then I bought it. Look at how thick it is. I have not seen a graphic novel that thick before. So you gotta see inside. It is so cute. So I'm really excited to read that one. And I do read graphic novels pretty quickly. So that'll be another nice light read for me. And then last but not least, at least on my radar, of course I will be reading whatever strikes my fancy, is Mr. and Mrs. Bunny, Detectives Extraordinaire, translated from The Rabbit by Polly Horvath. And I've shown this one at a book haul before, but it just looks so funny. And, I mean, just look at their eyes. Like, what? And there's a scene in here, apparently in the pictures, where they have to pick out their detective hats and everything. And it just looks absolutely iconic. Will have you laughing out loud and begging for more, which sounds exactly right up my alley. So I'm excited to give this one a try. Yeah, those are just some of the books on my radar. We'll see what I end up reading. I'm just gonna have fun. Just a light summer, just mood reading. So, thanks so much for watching. See you again soon. Bye.